How much further is it? She asked me hoarsely from the passenger seat. I turned briefly away from the winding coastal highway ahead of us and showed her a reassuring smile that doesn't betray the pain I feel in my soul. Not much further. She returns my smile weakly, her wasted face flushed with fever and damp with perspiration. She leans back and fades into a state of semi-consciousness. Her respiration is labored and slow. I know she doesn't have much longer, and silently I pray to a God I've never believed in that I can get there in time. I myself feel just fine, but I know it's only a matter of time. She felt perfectly healthy until just 3 days ago. Up ahead, I swerved to avoid a pickup truck half off the road and lodged tightly against the twisted guardrail that prevented it from plummeting into the sea. I glimpsed the driver slump motionless over the steering wheel, and the truck is behind us. The radio is on, but plays only static. The last station went off the air 2 hours ago. The broadcaster had been reading from the book of Revelation. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, in a ragged voice that had broken frequently into coughing. And then there had been a gunshot, and since then only static. I looked at her anxiously out of the corner of my eye. Her eyes are closed. For a second I fear the worst, then see her chest rising and falling. She is still breathing. I relax. Up ahead I see it and feel my spirit rise with mingled joy and relief. Off the highway, a paved driveway slopes up to a promontory overlooking the ocean, and perched there is the house. I smile to myself and gently nudge her, rousing her. Baby, do you see it? Look, it's up there. She squints, struggling to clear her cloudy vision. Finally, she sees it. She beams. It's lovely, she rasps. She had fallen in love with the rustic ocean view cottage the first time we had passed it on the highway 2 years ago. It had been her dream to live there, away from the city. A place at the end of the world, she'd called it. We had been saving up in the hope of one day buying it, but when it became apparent that was never going to happen, when it was obvious the government wasn't going to find a cure and that the virus's subsequent mutations would continue to eradicate those who had been immune to the original strain, we had packed up the car and made the drive, knowing it was our last chance. We had slipped out of the quarantine zone. By then it hadn't mattered. The roadblocks had been unmanned. The soldiers who had been tasked with guarding the perimeters either dead or AWOL. I pull up the long driveway and put the car in park outside the cottage. I look to her. She has slipped back into unconsciousness. I get out of the car and approach the house. I knock and wait. No answer. I try the knob, but it's locked. I look around and, after a few minutes, find a key hidden inside a fake rock. I unlock the door and enter. The smell of death strikes me instantly. It is dark inside the cottage. The electricity is out. I take out my flashlight, switch it on, and do a cursory inspection. I find the owners, a middle-aged couple, in the bedroom. Discolored and bloated in bed. They look like they've been dead for weeks. They lie in each other's arms. Several empty prescription bottles lie atop the bedside table. A large picture window offers a spectacular view of the beach and the ocean beyond it. I stand there for some time, looking out the window, then I return to the car outside. She is still asleep, twisting and turning fitfully in her seat. I open her door and gently lift her into my arms, carrying her as I carried her across the threshold of our apartment, past the cottage and down the slope to the beach it lands in. I lay her carefully in the sand, then sit down beside her. I take her in my arms, momentarily appalled by how hot her body feels, and shake her gently, awakening her. Look, baby, look where we are. She looked around uncomprehendingly, eyes rolling wildly in the grip of delirium. Lucidity returns and she realizes where she is. She takes in the ocean before us, rendered mute by its vastness, its breathtaking majesty. I cough suddenly, raggedly. Then I cough again, the first symptom. It is so beautiful, she whispers beside me. Her voice is very faint. Not as beautiful as you, I reply, feeling tears welling in my eyes for the first time. I love you, she gasps. I love you too. We sit there on the beach like young lovers, watching the waves rush in, lapping against the shoreline.